We have a shakeup soon of the heads of the financial markets in the United States, including Jerome Powell, Janet Yellen, and possibly Gary Gensler. Also, we're going to talk about Promethium. There's been some new evidence that's been uncovered, and then also shocking discovery about Bill Hinman and how he may be related to Vitalik Buterin. So make sure you guys tune in all the way to the end of this video to find out all the details. Hey guys, it's Ryan with Big Dog Investing. Thank you guys for tuning into my channel. If you guys could do a couple of things for me, if you guys are going to like, comment, subscribe to my channel if you guys have not done so already. Click the bell notification down below so YouTube can send you guys notifications whenever I release videos. Watch my videos all the way to the end. If you guys could share my videos and share my channel with anyone. I'm trying to grow my channel as much as I can, and I definitely need your guys' help in doing so. Getting started, today's going to be Monday, June 19th. The total market cap for all cryptocurrency right now is $1,080,000,000,000. This is a 1.5% increase on the day today. Bitcoin right now is currently trading at $26,908, Ethereum $1,736, and XRP at 49.22 cents. Bitcoin's been having a nice run up here just recently. A lot of stuff's been going on with Bitcoin spot ETFs that have been going on right now. A lot of people have started to apply for those. We're going to talk about that. Getting into our crypto bubbles, our biggest gainers and losers on the day today. Biggest gainer is SUI up 11.5%, KAS is up 10.4%, and Stacks is up 10.6%. Our biggest losers, we don't really have that many just because we're up over 1%, but Pulse is our biggest loser, 6.8%. CS is down 6.2%, and then Tommy's down 3.9%. I did get a haircut. I cut off all my hair. I ended up donating it. I got a couple various reasons why that I'm not going to get into right now. But I donated all of my hair. So I'm kind of glad it's all off now. It's pretty nice. And then the room's different because I'm on vacation right now. So, sorry for the little bit of the, not like a white wall, but I got stuff in the background just at the house I'm staying at. I'm filming a video. But getting into our Watcher Guru news, the U.S. national debt reaches an all-time high of $32 trillion. We talked about this in the last video. Our debt just keeps increasing over and over and over again. They're saying by 2030, our national debt should reach $50 trillion if we don't do anything. And obviously, we're not cutting the deficit at all, even though we have a president that says that we are doing that. Our debt just keeps on increasing. You can plan a budget and say that you're going to, oh, my budget needs to be $6 trillion. And then somehow you find a little bit of a loophole where you cut out part of that and then say, oh, I cut my national debt. No, you created the budget, so now you can manipulate a play on words with it. Moving on, Elon Musk said Twitter found secret code that shadow banned accounts and prevented them from trending. I'm sure this was just after he purchased Twitter. And he probably just recently found this, and he's probably slowly getting rid of it as fast as he can. Bangladesh formally applies to join BRICS Alliance. Again, a lot of these small countries, and I know a lot of people keep on saying like, oh, what does Bangladesh have to do? Or what does, Egypt or Nigeria getting rid of the US dollar? Well, if all of these small things keep on adding up, it's going to have a drastic impact. Like I talked about in our last video, how Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen came out and said that the US dollar is going to have a slow decline from where we were at in early 2011, I believe. We were at 70% of the national circulating global dominance was by the US dollar, and just recently it's 58%. And we're slowly and gradually going to keep on increasing that. International Monetary Fund is developing a digital currency platform to enable transactions between currencies, and the XRP token is actually involved with this. Obviously, the U.S. has to figure it out with the Security Exchange Commission. Bitcoin did reach $27,000 today, twice on two separate occasions. It briefly touched over, then retraced, and then was just over for about an hour for $27,000. And within the last 15 minutes, it dropped back down. But obviously, there's a lot of news going on right now that's actually pumping Bitcoin. MasterCard files trademark application to develop crypto and blockchain software. So it's kind of crazy now how all these companies are coming out of the woodworks, are well-known financial companies also trying to get in on crypto and blockchain while the SEC is trying to tarnish the name of cryptocurrency. Now, I don't care if you're on the right or if you're on the left, but this is ridiculous. A federal judge has ordered Donald Trump and his lawyers not to share any details of the case with anyone, including social media and the news. Today, Judge Bruce Reinhart issued an order muzzling the former president and his team from speaking out about any of the details of the case. Judge Reinhart is the same judge who ordered the raid on Mar-a-Lago and has been very critical of Trump, even posting negative comments about him on social media. Again, he should be recused from the case if he's posting stuff. It's a bias. He has a conflict of interest in the case. So he is very biased, and many experts believe he should recuse himself, but he's refusing to do so and now is being used as a weapon against the former president. How have we allowed our justice system to become so corrupt? And here's the article. Again, everything's going to be in the comments if you guys want to read it. But the judge is doing this, and this is a former president of the United States. It's not just some random Joe Schmo. They're trying to muzzle and silence a former president of the United States from speaking. And I don't care if Trump talks, a lot on Twitter or whatever, in news conferences or interviews, stuff like that. He has every right to do it. It's the freedom of speech. And now a judge is ordering, if not, he can go to jail again on another charge. Now, Biden has claimed that he literally cut the national debt in half by 1.4 trillion, by 1.7 billion, by 1.7 trillion. He keeps on just making up these random numbers, and this is what I was talking about, guys, where you can come up with a budget and then you kind of just backtrack and say, oh, I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to cut that out, and then now I'm cutting the national debt. That's not the case. Our national debt keeps on increasing. Now, Senator Fetterman and President Biden were talking about fixing some of the infrastructure in the area, and neither one of them can speak. This is an embarrassment for our country right now, and again, I don't care where you guys fall. If you guys have two individuals who hold high seats in Congress, one is the president, which is the biggest office space that you can hold or biggest position you can hold in the United States, and then a senator, which is, we have 100 senators, and to have all of these individuals who can form sentences, shows up dressed and ready to go to work, and this guy comes in a hoodie, some basketball shorts, had to go to a mental hospital because he can't, figure out his depression. He needs to seek help for that. If you can't do your job, you need to recuse yourself so somebody else can do it, because the American people are relying on this guy, and he can't even form sentences. I highly encourage you guys to watch a lot of this stuff. And then we had press secretary Pierre Paul come out, and she was talking about how she is a historical figure, and this is where she talks about over and over again in this. Don't have anything. I can't talk about it. There's nothing to share. Over and over and over again. I mean, let's just see if this will play. Let's see how many times she does it in this video. Maybe it's not going to work, but it just blows my mind. She comes out over and over again. I'm a historical figure. It's very important where I am right now, and it's just like, who are you? Why are you talking about this? There's you if you're going to be a historical figure, don't have somebody else call it for you, not you do it for them. It's obviously putting names to a face, trying to idolize yourself, and that's completely wrong here, especially if you are a press secretary, a president. You shouldn't be seeking validation from others. People should just be giving you that if you're doing a good job, and obviously she can't even answer simple questions. Now, Xi has indicated in a statement, for those of you guys who don't know, President of China has indicated in a statement that were areas of agreement between the U.S. and China. Do we know about those areas where that he's referring to? And Karen Pierre came out and says, I'm not going to get into that. This is the press secretary, like any specific issues that were discussed. Because we had somebody in the United States in a press conference say that they do not see Taiwan as an individual sovereign country, and basically just gave China the all clear. If they wanted to invade, they have every right to. And that's completely wrong. Us as the United States shouldn't be getting involved in foreign politics like that, to basically say, I recognize you, don't recognize you. If the country recognizes themselves, then they have every right to do so, and the U.S. shouldn't be overreaching its power with that. Now, Charles Hoskinson, for those of you guys that don't know, he's a creator of ADA, or the Cardano, or the ADA token for Cardano. It says, finally, we can make some progress on the COVID cover-up. The New York Post finally has talked about this after our news media has pushed over and over and over again that this was out of the ordinary. It's, just a mutation, or it came from a bat, or wherever they keep on saying it came from, and push these vaccine mandates and basically told people you have to get this. If you don't, you're killing individuals. And what other place in the world actually gives you guys like incentives, lottery tickets, come in and get a free burger if you bring in your vaccine card? Like, you're literally pushing people and benefiting them for getting a vaccine that you said came from all of these places. And then if you said it came from a lab, you were considered a conspiracy theorist, a right-wing extremist, a killer, all of this stuff. But turns out Washington Post finally says COVID came from a lab. We all knew it, regardless of how much bullshit the media shoveled and the social media censorship. Now the question is, what do we do with this knowledge moving forward? So there needs to be investigations. These individuals who held these positions of power need to be actually brought in front of Congress and talked. Now, when I was talking about our head of our financial markets, heard from a friend in the rumors in the DC fundraising circles that the Biden team wants to shake up some chair/cabinet positions in the financial sector to take off the heat from the economy before the next election. Yellen tops this list. But apparently, plenty of big ticket donors have mentioned Gensler as well. Everyone is in agreement in his stance on crypto, are embarrassed by his approach. Started looking to like Warren, Yellen, and Gensler brought down the hammer too hard for their own party. I would have guessed both Powell and Yellen would be on the chopping block, but Gensler's lack of professionalism is rubbing his own party the wrong way, and so tides are turning. If we keep on highlighting the absurdity of this approach, he may get reined in. So obviously, those three are on the chopping block. Obviously, if President Biden wants to run for re-election, he's going to need to blame somebody for how catastrophe our economy is right now. And what better way to do it is to get rid of the people in your finance markets and say they did a terrible job. This person's going to do better. Now, would it be great to get rid of Gensler, Yellen, and Powell? Sure, but if we get rid of them, is it going to be more of an evil person coming in? And we have to figure them out next. Kind of weigh our odds there. Now, there's a funny little meme right here. BlackRock told us to chill the fuck out on the crypto laws, obviously, because they're coming out guns a-blazing, suing everyone. When Gensler appeared in front of Congress, Warren and him kind of gave up scripted questions and answers and rebuttals and answers for those rebutted questions. And guess what? Turns out the New York Post says SEC Chair Gensler has close ties with anti-crypto Senator Warren. Here's the article if you guys want to read it. We've all been talking about this, but obviously here's the New York Post finally coming and talking about it, even though we've been here for the past, 2.5 years discussing this Ripple versus the SEC case. Now, breaking: FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried is allegedly ratting out everyone in the industry right now to U.S. authorities. John Deaton says he needs to be a rat out of Gensler and the SEC regarding the meetings he had with them. Was he close to having a deal related to some sort of resignation? At the majority whip was told, I would support shaving an entire decade off of his sentence. Instead of 60 years, he can serve 50. Obviously, he sold a bunch of people's life savings. People were left in shambles after FTX fell. And rumors right now are FTX is blowing through, $5 to $10 million a week, and it's not actually going to the customers who lost those funds. So we'll see what happens out of this. But if he's going to be, talking about, all of this stuff, and he's going to be ratting out a bunch of people, is he next to be gone? We'll see what happens. Ryan points out the mask is coming off. Tokenization is the future, but will it only be allowed at the Wall Street firms that own our financial regulators, like Michael Hughes and Gary Gensler says owned regulators at the American Bankers Association event? So, Michael Hughes, he was talking about this and was saying that a public decentralized network probably isn't the best for blockchain technology, and it needs to be on a regulated entity. And we've already talked about how end of quarter two, early quarter three, they talk about summer of 2023 is when the NASDAQ's going to start bringing in cryptocurrency. We saw BlackRock file for Bitcoin future trading, and now we see others right now doing it as well. And then also, this was kind of interesting too. UK Parliament approves a bill to regulate crypto as a financial activity. U.S. is pushing crypto industry out of the country, and other countries like the UK, China, Russia are taking full advantage of this situation and welcoming crypto to build their economy. I've been in a couple Twitter spaces, though, a bunch of individuals who live in Europe, and they're talking about how the US really isn't that far behind. They're actually leading the way, is what they're saying on their end. But they're trying to be a little bit better and professional with it, and make sure that they rein in everything all at one time and not just nitpick here and there. But obviously, if you're in the United States, you definitely think differently. I definitely agree. Everywhere outside of the United States is crypto friendly, and the US wants to see it in shambles because it's going to hurt the billionaires in our country right now. Rumor: BlackRock has asked the SEC to approve the Bitcoin spot ETF faster. Normally, it takes around 240 days. Could we see this time frame cut in half, or even within the next 60 days? We'll see what happens. But when we talked about somebody else, after BlackRock, now Fidelity Investments with 4.3 trillion in assets is preparing to apply for a Bitcoin spot ETF and also submit an offer to acquire Grayscale soon. This is super bullish. This is the reason why Bitcoin, in my opinion, no financial advice, is seeing a nice spike right now, because all of these big names in the financial markets, BlackRock, Citadel, Fidelity, all of these individuals are being more crypto friendly right now. Now, John Deaton points out to Mark Cuban, it says former SEC enforcement head Jay Clare unknowingly threw the SEC under the bus and explained why the SEC needs to change the registration rules for digital assets like crypto. John Deaton says 100% on the dot, demonstrating the mindset of the regulators. Think of a hammer. It sees everything as a nail. According to Clayton's Broadway ticket analysis, any item that can be resold for a potential profit needs SEC registration. This will include Pokemon cards, sport cards, Yeezys, Taylor Swift tickets, anything that you guys buy. Like, I just bought tickets to a comedian next year, um, and I got in on the pre-sale, and I paid $60 for those tickets for each, so 120 total. I could sell them for $300 each. Do I need to go into the SEC, knock on their door, and say, "Hey, how do I apply to be a security right now to sell my tickets?" Even though I'm not going to, I'm not that person. I actually really want to see this comedian. But it just kind of blows my mind now that basically they want to have a broad definition so they can pick and choose the winners and the losers, like we talked about in the last video. Meta Lawman talks about the SEC and Binance agree on ordering security U.S. customer assets. I would put this as a win column for the Binance defendants. So basically, Binance did not have to freeze their assets. The government didn't officially take over. All they have to do is basically show that they actually have the funds available for those. It says this means the judge will not make any early determination that the SEC has a substantial likelihood of success on its merits if the case were to proceed to trial. So basically, it's trusting that Binance has the stuff. They're going to show the proof and validation of it, and that they're not going to be shut down in the US until after a trial is done, which is great news. Now, a new judge has been assigned to the SEC versus Coinbase case in the New York federal court to replace rookie judge Jennifer Reardon. The new judge assigned is Catherine Polk-Fila. Here's what we know about her. She was appointed by President Obama. She is currently handling a civil action brought against Tether and Bitfinex, aligning that they use USDT to manipulate the price of cryptocurrencies. If you guys want to, you guys can keep on reading down, but in my opinion, it's good because it's not a rookie judge who's going to actually not know what they're doing, but it's also bad because it looks like they're against cryptocurrency as well. So it's a double-edged sword. Now, Binance comes out and says, although we maintain the SEC's request for an emergency relief was entirely unwarranted, we are pleased that the disagreement over this request was resolved on a mutually acceptable terms. User funds have always been and always will be safe and secure on all Binance-affiliated platforms. So that one should have actually been put right here, and then Coinbase next. Jimmy Vallee comes out and says that after processing the significance of the Hinman disclosures, in my opinion, the SEC's governance case against Ripple has collapsed in plain view of the entire world, as there was no legal basis to even bring the case. This is what the fair notice defense is all about, boys and girls. This is what we've been talking about. They had no evidence to bring a case against Ripple, yet they did, to delay, allow JP Morgan to bring up and try to create a coin that can do what Ripple has and can do, but for over 2.5 years, they still can't do it. And that's why this case is still dragging on, in my opinion. Now, to the contrary, the SEC's own internal view, based on the reasons analysis of the memorandums, was that the XRP was not a security. This was consistent with the pre-law analysis of Valhyr Capital. The lawsuit was brought as a weapon against the American people to prohibit their participation in public transmission to a fair, equitable, and transparent blockchain-based financial system, and directed by agents of the CCP and other communist factions. At the time, the only appropriate action for the Second District Federal Court is to enter a direct verdict in favor of Ripple et al., order the SEC to reimburse Ripple for all legal fees over $100 or $200 million, and establish a fund to compensate retail XRP token holders for their damages. Those are like me and you who got in before this lawsuit. Again, it will not be for the individuals who bought in because, oh, the SEC is suing them. I'm going to buy in because the token price, was at $3 and then it dropped down. Then the lawsuit gets, hammered on them and then the price drops even more. So I'm going to get in on it. No, it's going to be those who actually had the token before. Those are the ones, in my opinion, is what he's talking about. This should occur immediately. Following this remedial action, the the U.S. Congress should begin an investigation of the motives and actions behind the Ethereum free pass speech and all the lawsuits against Ripple. It is a tragedy that so many within our federal government have become so corrupt. Justice must occur. Now, this is really interesting because we talked about in my last video how these Prometheum guys just came out of the nowhere. It says, hey, Rep Blair, remember the other day when Prometheum CEO was downplaying the significance of his Chinese investors to you? You must watch this. Sound like it is very involved. And they talked about how in this video, again, 2 minutes long, I would highly encourage you guys to watch it. But he talks about how him and a Chinese company basically partnered and they know everything. They work hand in hand. So they have access to everything, even though he came out and said, oh, no, they don't have any access to any of our intellectual property. If they help develop it, they have access to it, or they know what it is and they know how to get into it. So, in my opinion, again, this needs to be investigated. This guy needs to be brought in because how did the SEC approve this? Now, when they talk about Ethereum, surprise, surprise, under every SEC rock we find Ethereum. Prometheum CEO, on the origin of their name, he talks about how Prometheum was basically derived from a prophet and wants to bring good fortune and good wealth. And he says the EUM at the end stands for Ethereum, and it's always about Ether. So obviously the come and talk approach with the SEC didn't work for Ripple, but somehow you can backdoor deal your way into the SEC in good hands and supposedly good faith, but obviously Ripple didn't get that fair treatment. And he talks about, turns out the Promethean CEO was in the room at the Ethereum ICO. So he was talking about how in an interview, he was in the Ethereum ICO room, how you could get Ethereum for 19 cents when it first got in for an ICO. And obviously those prices right now, like I said, are 1,700. Imagine buying it at 19 cents to Ethereum. You put $100 in, you're a multi-millionaire at $1,700 a coin now. So, in my opinion, this is a whole conflict of interest. This is what needs to be investigated. So, the New York Post, another one, comes out, another article says, when the New York Post weighs in, you've hit some kind of inflection point. Again, talk about this, read about it. I highly encourage you guys, again, do your guys' own independent research before you guys start investing. And then James Rule XRP shows that Ethereum, or not, Prometheum and Ether is actually on the disclaimer for the SEC. It says the sec.gov browser edge company Prometheum and owner / exclude and actions get company. So how are they on the disclaimer with the SEC right now? That's very interesting. We'll see what happens and what comes to light of this. But again, you guys try to get rid of and shut down the XRP community. They do their own independent research. Bill Hinman, top of the iceberg right now, can't make this up. Why you don't think JP Morgan of all people is commenting on this deal? So that when the Hinman documents got released, JP Morgan tried to swindle this and swing it their way. It says Hinman documents released and the SEC versus Ripple case is a boost to Ether at JP Morgan. So now analysts came out for JP Morgan and said this is actually going to help the price of Ethereum and comes up with these BS reasons why in their article. They try to swing it every way they can to deflect. The Ethereum community says there's not a single piece of evidence for JP Morgan financing consensus in Ethereum. Yet, right here, this guy, Joseph Lubin, comes out and he talks about how JP Morgan was involved with them when they started creating it and how they used Ethereum for cross-border payments, make payments cheaper. Obviously, we know that network fees for Ethereum are ridiculous. Sometimes if you guys want to spend $100 on a coin for Ethereum, you're paying $70 in fees. So in total, you're only getting $30 back. Now, the bombshell, the biggest piece of evidence right now that just came out today, Mr. Huber points this out, says, "Are you fucking kidding me?" So, for those of you guys that don't know, Vitalik Buterin in 2014 is right here. And then we also have Bill Hinman's son that sits on Plug and Play. Plug and Play right here says it is a Chinese small company. So it says the story of Plug and Play FinTech started with a small Bitcoin meetup at our headquarters in Sunnyvale, California. This meetup turned into the FinTech program launched in 2014. Right here, this is Nate Hinman. This is his son. It says right here, Director Enterprise Tech. He's the Plug and Play Tech Center right here, and the Venture Associate in 2017 to 2019, and then from 2019 to 2022. Now, if you're telling me that during this entire Ripple versus the SEC case, Vitalik Buterin and his son are basically buddies. They work hand in hand on this project, yet Ripple's the one that gets sued and Ethereum gets the free pass. Well, your son just works for an Ethereum company. How does that work out? Now, we got this right here. He's this Director Enterprise Plug and Play. You can see right here, he sits on their website. This is their Plug and Play again. And this is Bill Hinman in the back. And there's his son right there. So, just shows everything's connected right now. All the pieces are coming together. Only time's going to tell. Hopefully, the judge will be able to see this. Ripple can put this as evidence into the case that obviously there was a huge conflict of interest. And again, things keep piling up. What's the next thing that the XRP community is going to find? Put down in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys can't invest with the big dogs, stay on the porch. Thank you guys and have a good one.